to go. So we can then take it back out. The next phase would be to take these to Hermit's Peak, Cap Canyon, or to FEMA, and either the claims office or FEMA, and see about funding for the next phase for each one of those projects.
Mr. Chairman, can we get a request, a copy of the proposed actions items that you're going to be working on, presenting to the city? That you're going to present to FEMA and to whoever?
We are going to be requesting continued funding on it.
Okay, so the number of stuff that you went through was quite a bit. In other words, you're asking for quite a number of.
There's four projects.
Right.
So there's two that are in preliminary engineering report. We'll ask for funding to go to planning and design, and then the other two will ask for funding to go to construction.
Right. So you're presenting those orally, and there's nothing written.
Right now, all I'm presenting is a status update of the projects. That's all I'm presenting.
All right. So then what is the city acting on? Just information?
There's no action. It is a presentation. There are no action items.
Thank you.
So the other projects that we have currently in progress, we are still working on Independence. So the situation there is that is a sewer line, brand new sewer line that was installed in Independence. Because it's a new line replacing an old line, we needed to tie in any of the residents along Independence into the new line. That was, we were under the understanding that they were all tied into one line in the alley, which would tie into a main. That was not so. Each one of them has their own tie-in, and they are about 14, 15 feet deep. Tremendously deep. So, and there were no cleanouts that we could find. And so that's why, if you notice, the work being done was pure excavation. We had the contractor out there, which was not under the original scope of work. So this is additional work to excavate where we believe those, where the contractor believed the lines were, until we could physically come across the lines. So some of them were a little bit shallower, as we got as close to the proper line as we could, so we could try and find them. But they went through tracing. Some of those lines go under walls, some of them go under houses. It's a mixed match of stuff there.
Were they that deep to begin with?
Well, the main is 13 to 15 feet deep in Independence. So yes, it'll make grade. What we're trying to avoid is that if there's any repairs in the future, the contractor would have to dig 15 feet. So we're locating all of the lines for eye candy, 1, 2, 3, 4 or 5 residences along the way, and then the main that comes up a little driveway between a couple of the formerly neon greenhouse, lime greenhouse, and I think it's a duplex. Between those homes, there's another line that goes farther back towards a manhole. We'd like to get everything either high enough and directly into a manhole instead of going down to a main. Don't like them going into a manhole, but I really don't want anybody digging it. So we're relocating those private lines as part of this project. Just the end of the private line. You know, we're not redoing the whole line for them. We're just we need to complete the tie-in. That's the private lines. So that's why it's taken as long as it has. Is as we continue to have to add tasks to this project, that adds time, and the depth and the lack of any of those, knowing any of the location of any of those sewer lines.
Good.
So that's as soon as we can get the last one is eye candy. As soon as we get eye candy, then we'll get a cost estimate for tying all of them in the least in the best manner for future maintenance, and then we'll get all that done and continue with the concrete work that a separate contractor was doing in that area.
No choice.
We have found a lot of surprises in that Independence project, from the concrete road to the depth, and to the number of sewer lines that were tied in, and how other homes and houses were put on top of the sewer lines.
Why were they voting on these? Just a question.
I
that thick.
I don't know if I honestly don't know. I'd be interested if anybody knows if at one time Independence was raised or something. Was that area by any chance raised? Because that's a pretty deep line, 15 feet there at South Pacific Independence.
That's need to make ready.
We could have, I don't know, I think that we could have come up with another alternative that was maybe started there instead of continuing the existing line. But,
It's a challenge.
or a lift station or something. But either way, that is the current challenge we're dealing with. While we were at it, we did discover that another contractor, not the city and not the city's contractor, actually bored right through one of those private lines there. And so that private company was contacted. They came out and fixed the damage that they caused. That was a side note to that project. Hot springs. So there's two phases of hot springs. There's the sewer line and the water line. The sewer line has all been installed. There's one punch list item, and that is there's a manhole lid at Taos and Hot Springs that is a couple of inches too high. So they're locating a ring that's a little bit shallower. It's taken them several weeks, but I think they've located the ring, so they have to remove the ring that's there, install the new ring that's shallower, and then concrete that collar in. And then that'll finish the sewer portion. Yes. Still be reinforced as those collars remain. And then we go to the water portion. We did get responses back from DOT on our permit request. We've addressed those comments from the DOT engineer, and we've submitted the application back for the permit approval to bore across bills and install a water line across bills to replace the older water line. So that's where we're still just going back and forth with DOT.
Is that main? The new one or the old one? The old one is a 10 and 8 street. And you're replacing this in one. We're replace most one. And that one's 16.
So that one is still progressing. The adjacent work that's tied to that project is in progress. We're cognizant of the contractor's schedule. So the project comes and goes with being on hold and not on hold, so they can still progress, but leave enough time. We need to make sure there's enough time for the excavation and the installation of 16. So we'll most likely have to do a change order to make sure there's enough time for them to do that.
Have that in the year?
In the contract, so there's time allotted to being in contract for work, and if they come across issues, then they'll request whether it's weather, whether it's materials, whether it's something like this where DOT wanted some adjustments to the plans, and we needed to adjust the plans because the original plans would not work once we found the utilities that were in the way. Then there's a request for time change in the contract.
So there'll be like a casing that you're going to put in first and then run back.
Yeah.
This one.
Yeah. And the traffic control for that one will also be pretty intense because we're going to make sure we take the information all the way back to Grand and New Mexico and Grand and Mills, so that if anybody's coming down the road, Mills, either direction or New Mexico, they'll know they'll be coming upon a project that will close portions of that road. There will be detours during this portion because they're going to have to get all the way across Mills, but they cannot bury it until they get all the way across and they know that it's pressure tested, disinfected, everything is good to go, all the connections have been made before they can really bury it and pave it. So the contract will have to go back and forth between the north side and the south side of it.
So it's not going to be a trench.
Yes. Yeah, we couldn't bore.
Okay,
Yeah, there was not enough clearance to bore, and so we're trenching.
Probably faster anyway.
It is faster. Unfortunately, it is more invasive, obviously. Baca is done. While we were working on Baca, the regular issue that we have with the ponding there, Baca and 5th and Baca and 6th area, we went ahead and we weren't sure if the work being done by the contractor contributed to that. So as part of that project, we had them excavate because we just wanted to make sure that they didn't cause any damage. As they were excavating, there was no damage caused by their water line. They were already there excavating, so we asked them to try and figure out the problem. turns out that that storm drain line is impacted. It's full of debris and rocks and roots and nothing's going anywhere. So that's been turned over to Public Works. We're gonna have to come up with a project to replace that storm drain. It was down on, it's the westbound lane of Baca. It's the location of that line. It's off the center line. It's not in the center line. So, and then the manholes are old and deteriorated. As a matter of fact, when they excavated near it, turns out there was a manhole there. It just fell apart. So we think there are manholes at all the intersections, but they're all probably buried under asphalt.
That's years.
But they're very old.
I would say.
Yeah, and it's clay.
More than likely, it was replaced with PVC.
Yes, more than likely, but the challenge will be finding a cost estimate. So they're getting cost estimates and trying to find funding for it. So Baca, what other projects that we're working on? PRV, the main part of the PRV is evolved and installed now. It's the
Just tie-ins on the Ghana Road.
is that the one where you have to redo the line? PRV was put in a location where it would result in a boundary violation, right? Boundary crossing. Because there was where the line was located and where they took the location of the old PRV was the line above. Was above it, right? Yeah. And then they moved the PRV above it, so now that would make it below the PRV, so that become a boundary crossing, which we can't have. There's no boundary crossing. So the engineering contractor are gonna have to fix it.
You gotta go back further to keep setting.
They'll probably just have to move that line, right?
Yeah, we just gotta do kind of like a cap here, next end of the line. Relocate that PRV. What's that? Relocate that PRV. We have to relocate it because of the size of the ball. Yeah, I saw that.
So that one's been a really good project. It seems like after we finish that project, some of our challenges that we had with not being able, with Valencia staying full were addressed. So we figure there was something happening with the PRVs that was not allowing us to take water from the well field. But ever since the PRVs were installed and properly programmed, for lack of a better term, it seems like we've addressed that issue.
What about Legion?
I am not aware of the status of Legion. I know it's in progress. It's not one of my projects. So
Whose project is
that's a
it?
streets project.
It's come up nice. Those contractors are really good. The concrete guys, they're really good.
Good. Is there another project that I need to update for everybody?
Just a curiosity going, but remember those valves that you said were you couldn't find over here on South Street? They were back feeding somewhere on Kavanaugh Street. Did you ever find out what's going on there? Did you ever check it? So, but we did find it on Alamo Street when we excavated there to eliminate that PRV that was on the side of the hill. We found out that Alamo and New Mexico wasn't cut the way it's supposed to be. We wouldn't do that. So we're not so we're not all perfect anymore. Sorry. Sorry for the week.
Actually, I think another interesting thing, if you have a chance to get up to the skating pond, you will see that there is a contractor up there that's removing sediment from the Montezuma skating pond, large volumes of sediment. Doing an excellent job. That is actually a project that has been funded and coordinated under NRCS, Tiago Montes, and then I think Magnum is the contractor, and they've been doing a fantastic job.
They're still dumping in about stuff.
Wherever the contractor has the permit and approval to sediment, it's on the contractor to do that. I'm not aware.
Does it create a liability for the city?
I don't believe so, especially if you have the permit as you're supposed to, but they've already done testing on much of the sediment. I wanted to put it on city property.
But I'm talking about the, once it's done, the depth of the pond. It's gonna be put deep, right?
It should be about 8 feet. That's the normal depth.
So.
It's gonna fill in again.
Within about 2 weeks.
But do we have to take extra precautions? Will the city take extra precautions to fence it in? What's gonna happen?
And it's that's the normal depth, and that's, we won't fence it in. People, hopefully it'll freeze again, I mean, with this skating on it,
I'm just worried that somebody will fall through the ice.
Is there any
It's
plan
no-
to
no
make an
different than
adjustment
any
on
other
that dam? Because when they changed that dam, it changed the entire pond up there.
I am not fully.
That was done by Corps of Engineers, and I don't know what the mistake was.
My
But it
under-
did not work the way it used to.
My understanding was when, I've seen some documents and I have to go back and find them again, the state engineer came and determined that the dam was too high, and they had the state engineer ordered that be lowered.
That's what I always thought, you know, it came up higher and then it never worked the same.
So that was, that, there are some rules and regulations from the state engineer's office about how much you can retain and how deep you can go, and that did for some reason, it was too high, and the state engineer required it to be lowered.
I hope they can correct it to where it was.
Well, a big start is removing all that sediment that, you know, that only gives you a foot of water. Now with the sediment's out, if we keep it clean, that'll be a challenge with all the sediment we still coming down the river.
I'm not sure it's documented somewhere. By the order. Well, that'll be. I'm just gonna do that.
So we want, as we go into the next approval items, those are leading into some more projects. We have the sediment removal at the Abbey's. Any other projects? And give an update on? That I can give an update on?
So there is a streets committee.
I don't believe so.
Okay. So there is a streets
Arnold-
division.
Yes, Arnold is the director, and he can give you an update.
Okay, if there's no other project, let's move on to the committee recommendation for approval. Number one, addendum number two, the contract 3827-21 with Sutter Miller and Associates.
So this one is SMA has, we have SMA under contract for any kind of water distribution projects we may need. And this would be addendum number two. So this is the second addendum. So we'll be going into the third year of this contract with Sutter Miller. So 3 out of 4. So it'll be this year, and then if we choose to do it after that, we one more after that.
That's that engineering firm is talking about.
Sutter Miller, they have a contract, they do some work for us at solid waste, water treatment plant operations, wastewater treatment plant operations. And they've done some, I believe they've done some work with Public Works.
I know we discussed this charge before, but how do you have one? What's the contract be?
Contract,
What is the contract with this other?
oh, it can be more specific about what does it read.
Cost?
So the cost is they have annual fee, they have a rate sheet that they give us at the beginning of the year, so they're a time and materials. So if we don't use them, there's no cost. As we use them, it's based on the individual tasking.
The money's already allowed.
Yes, there's already money, there's already budgeted for. It's in our maintenance of systems or professional services.
Mr. Chairman, I make a motion that we contract a third year with Sutter Miller and Associates for professional engineering services for water distribution, for the water distribution system.
I'll second that motion.
Okay, we have a motion by Rudy, a second by Mike Sweeney, all in favor.
All right.
Okay, move to number two, award RFP number 2024-05 for water and sludge transfer and temporary storage to Ace Plumbing and Heating.
So we put out a proposal. We needed a contractor that could help remove sludge from our digester or gravity thickener or the clarifiers for that matter, any of our facilities, any of our equipment up at the wastewater plant or the water treatment plant. Whether it's for temporary storage, meaning we need to do maintenance, so we need to clear everything out so that we can do maintenance, or whether it's for removing and hauling off to our permitted disposal site. We did put this out. We only had one proposer, which was Hayes. We put it out a second time just to make sure that we had every option to have more than one proposer, and Hayes was the only proposer the second time as well. And so we're gonna need to use them for, again, for temporary sludge removal and storage while we do maintenance, or for permanent transfer up to our permitted disposal site.
You said that the evaluation was still done even though there was only one.
Yeah, we still, my staff, I would still do evaluations just to make sure that there's nothing else in the proposal that would make them non-responsive. Even if there's only one proposer, if they do not provide the required documents, they can be considered.
That's good. Well, I think you gotta give everybody a chance. Mr. Chairman, I'll make a motion to approve award RFP 2024-05 base fund.
I'll second it. Okay, we have a motion by Nick Martinez and second by Mike Sweeney. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? All right, we're going to number 3, award RFP 2024-01 for on-call sediment removal services to Northeastern Construction and GM Emulsion and enter into contract.
So we put a request for proposal out with the scope of work being sediment removal at the Gabions up in the river. This is for the sediment that has come down the river from the following fire. So this will cover the areas at the Gabions, which are the structures that we installed in the river to pull back sediment, so we didn't impact our diversion sediment that can be found in the river, at our reservoirs, as well as debris in the, includes the debris in the geogrugs. So any of the debris that we need removed, hauled off, that's what this request for proposal was for. We had 5 respondents. There were 2 that were immediately disqualified as non-responsive. When we submit a request for proposal, in the proposal it states to what information must be provided to be considered. And we had 2 vendors that did not provide the required information. So they're automatically disqualified as non-responsive. No, they did not answer the questions. And in section 6, it says all questions must be answered or you'll be considered non-responsive. And they did not. One of them did not answer the questions. The other one provided, I believe, it was a price sheet. And you're not allowed to provide a price sheet in the proposal, and all that is in the language. So there were 2 that were immediately disqualified. Of the final 3 that were responsive, we met with, I and my staff met with all 3 of them and asked them questions. I wanted to make sure that they had the appropriate equipment, that they had experience, that they had understood the scope of work. They were all taken to the reservoir. They needed to make sure they had run up to the reservoir, the river. They needed to understand that it was hundreds of feet across that they were needing to be able to perform excavation on. And so with all the questions I asked, with what type of equipment they have, are they doing similar work somewhere else? 2 of the 3 came out on top, which was Northeastern and GM Emulsion. And so my request is to award and enter into contract with both of them. We will start with the higher ranked, which was Northeastern. So we'll start with Northeastern and we'll give them the first shot at the work. If for some reason they do not meet our needs or requirements, then we will move to the second vendor. Or if the work is so cumbersome that we need more than one contractor, then we'll move to the second.
That's where it's leading to right there.
Yes.
Does GM Emulsion understand that?
They will be, that they don't do any work until we give them the go ahead.
So they will explain that to them?
Well, yeah, they'll be informed of that. They're the second ranked. So they'll still get tasks. Each one will get individual taskings, but the one who's ranked highest will get the first tasking.
But anyhow, what I'm saying on the motion, it doesn't state that, so.
That's just how we handle more than one vendor. We always go with the higher ranked vendor first.
Mhm.
And the second one would either be if the first one doesn't meet our needs or if there's too much work.
And I agree with that, there's, I'm just wondering, okay,
But neither one of them will be given any work until we put something specific in.
right,
I hope they're aware of what the place is gonna be.
Oh, yes, well, both of them have done some similar work in different areas in Mora and in areas. So they're both aware, and they both have the access to the extended, excavator, loader,
Excavator, the long reach.
thank you, long reach excavator. So we had those discussions with them, making sure they have access to it.
When that flood hits, it's going to hit.
Yeah, they are aware. We had, well, and luckily, they understand the environment. When the rain's coming, they need to be out of their world before the rain's coming. But the plan is to do the work not during monsoons. So hopefully we'll be getting on it soon.
maybe I don't know.
And we will submit the costs to FEMA.
Yeah, especially that female people, it's gotta be precision.
Mr. Chairman, I make a motion that we award the proposal for on-call sediment and removal services to Northeastern Construction and Jam Emulsion and enter into contract with them for those purposes.
All second that.
Okay, we have a motion by Rudy, a second by Mike Martinez, all in favor?
All right.
Opposed? All right, number 4, award RFP number 2024-08 for Agua Pura Las Vegas public engagement campaign to Carol strategies and enter into contract.
So we submitted this request for proposal as we wanted to look at public awareness and public engagement as we move forward with the Agua Pura project. That is the effluent reuse project to make water to drinking water standards. And a major portion of this project is to inform the public and have conversations with the public on the project, the benefits, the assurances, how we're ensuring that water quality will meet all state and federal safe drinking water standards. And so we want to bring on Carol Strategies to help us with that, to make sure that we are addressing those concerns. We are reaching out in an informative manner to the public. There was only one respondent, and they do meet the qualification.
I've done a lot of back here in that budget right there.
Yeah, and it'll be about informing the public because I think some information is just not out there. We need to make sure we're fully educating the public on the need for it.
Because it is out there. It's not.
So that's why we're doing this, is we want to make sure we give the public all the accurate information. You know, as we all know, the water that we discharge is water that the next community downstream uses, but it goes through natural filtration. And that's what we're doing, is we're just doing the same filtration as we currently have, plus advanced water treatment filtration, and then it'll go back up to the reservoir for a third treatment process. So it'll actually go through 3 different treatments.
But actually Caroline is in charge of promoting the project and letting people know about it.
So we're going to do a SWOT analysis and then build from there. The intent is to know what challenges we have and how, and come up with ways to address those challenges. So whether it's through public meetings, or whether it's through flyers and information that talk about the fact that we're already doing, that these projects are already being done across the country, that the treating of water has high level environmental department requirements, that they do have at least 2, if not 3 environmental buffers in the process, and just helping people understand that it's not a pipe from the wastewater plant to their house, that of all the treatments and the disinfection and the process that the water goes through.
So they're going to be in charge of being able to convey information to the consumers?
The main thing is they're going to be educating us and helping us to create those those programs.
So they were-
Are we doing flyers? Are we doing flyers? Are we doing bumper stickers? Are we doing pencils? Are we doing public awareness campaigns? Are we doing community meetings? Are we going out to the elementary schools, middle schools, and high schools? Are we developing tabletop scale models of this system? And how are we getting across to the community all the different levels that we are doing to treat the water? Because we have to treat it as high standards before we ever put it in the river. We need to make sure that the fish aren't impacted. And so in addition to that, we're treating it to high enough standards that it's actually drinking water before it leaves the wastewater plant, but it will be blended back in with river water and given again a third treatment.
So let me see if I understand this. So once Carol and Associates or whoever does their investigations or whatever, and then they make recommendations to you, ultimately it'll be up to you to decide what to you or whoever.
Correct, and they might help us with the advertisements or the flyers or the stickers or, the motto. They may help us with some of that stuff. The intent is for us to talk to our community. We don't need somebody else talking to our community. We'll be talking to our community, making sure that we can get all the information out there and answer their questions or concerns. Most of the time so far in our conversations, it's because they don't have all the information. We want to make sure they have it.
I guess my concern, and I'll drop it this one, is that the average John Doe out there, the squeaky wheel is the one that's going to get all this information or generate the information, but the people that should know about it or that talk about it behind closed doors never get it. There's not opportunities for them to express themselves because they're not that type of people that go out and attend public meetings or answer surveys so I'm wondering, it's going to be a challenge for them.
So that'll be part of our,
Yeah.
of what we need to be educated on from our
Yes.
public engagement company is how do we go out and reach everybody? How do we go out and reach, you're right, the squeaky wheels,
Mhm.
and especially the loud squeaky wheels.
Right.
We definitely want to get them the correct information, but we want everybody to have this. I want elementary school, middle school, high schoolers to all understand how we make sure that it is extremely high standards.
So that's yeah. Mr. Chairman, I hate to make another motion, but I will. I make a motion that we award the RFP for engagement for the engagement campaign to Carol Strategies and turn to contract with the purposes.
I need to know why you hate to make another motion.
Is it just-
Well, that's because I hate to second it, but I'll second it. Okay, we have a motion by Rudy, a second by Maxine, all in favor?
Aye.
So are you?
Opposed?
Like, I think you and I eat the same kind of breakfast.
It's just because he wanted to go home early.
Right.
Yeah.
This is not mine. Yes, it is.
Let's see, let's move on to discussion items. Did we get a monthly report?
That's really
It's not.
I don't have anything to add on the monthly report.
The project status, we already went through project status, basically announcements.
The city is currently at the balloon fiesta. We have a table there. We're promoting the city. We're also promoting all the jobs that we have vacant, trying to reach out to other areas and other communities to get more employees here at the city of Las Vegas.
I mean, absolutely vacancies for like a long, long time. What's the main reason that you can figure out why you didn't clean?
And
There's probably not one.
it seems like the workforce is not there.
And about how many, what percentage of vacancies do we have?
More than-
Utilities is probably 50% big.
About 50. That's for all, kind of for all the departments.
For all the
I mean,
divisions in
what-
utilities, I can only speak for utilities, but we're about 50%.
It sounds like most of the businesses in the country now hiring.
Yeah.
That's all you do. I don't know.
Without doing a deep dive, everything I would say would be speculative. I mean, it was after COVID, everything changed. So there's some people are getting paid somehow, some way, and not that they don't need to come to work.
That will last long.
We keep saying that, unfortunately, it keeps lasting. I don't know what it's.
For 4 to 5 years.
Gentlemen,
Right.
Really haven't got things to do.
Any other member comments?
Offer a 15-year retirement. Possible, but yeah.
I don't know.
We're still trying to push through the legislature, or we're really supportive of the push from at the legislative level for bringing in retirees. And without it impacting the PERA, that doesn't seem, there's too many other entities that have some issue with that it ends up stalling every year.
Well, I was, I mean, I don't understand probably more than obvious, but a few that I've seen left here to go Senator. Just utility. I mean,
They go to work for private contractors. They don't go to work for,
city.
they don't go to work for public, entities. They can't double dip. They can't get PERA again.
Correct.
So they've gone to Molson Corbin or Southern Miller, a couple of level 4, I believe. They end up going there. Because they can't come back and double dip. They cannot get their retirement. You'd have to suspend your retirement to get hired again. And you cannot get your retirement and your earnings. You can't double dip. Like myself, I'm a para-retiree as is Mike. He can't come back and he'd have to suspend his retirement to go back to work. He can't get both. And a lot of people, at one time, they allowed it for a while and then they went back to the original where you cannot.
It's too good.
I don't know, but that's just the law.
I think they want to make sure that when the jobs are being filled, it's being filled by the up and comers. And so they don't want the retirees to take spots that could be filled by the up and comers, but that's not who we're looking for. I'm looking for level 4s. Those are not the up and comers. I need the retirees.
The experience.
I need the experience. So
And it's hard for that person to suspend their pay and go back to just earning.
you're right. So they'll go to a different industry. They'll go work for the postal service, and then they'll get to retirement.
And they've done it for teachers and they've done it for police. I just don't know a solution for your dilemma.
We need to make more level 4s quickly.
Yes, I don't see any other way right now.
The challenge is we just start handing out level 4s. We're not
Or-
the right people in the right position.
You forget the other solution has been in some areas is where if the governing body allows for contractors and you get that level 4 that used to be here, you give them a contract instead of bringing them on as an employee.
And that's what we're doing right now with
That's
the water.
about the only-
We hired a contracting company at a lot higher cost. That's because they're former, those who are working there are former municipal employees. I have looked at a company, Jacobs, when we were looking at having somebody come in and help manage the water wastewater plant. The goal was to supplement, have the level 4s from a contractor, but still have the city employees be able to learn from these guys and grow and develop. We've only had the one engineering firm respond. I did call Jacobs and ask them why they didn't. They said because it's all or nothing for them. They will not manage city employees. So they either take over the entire facility or they don't. And since it's
So where does that leave you?
exactly where we're at right now, too few employees, and the too few employees that we have doing work for two people, getting burned out at a high rate.
Do they end up putting a lot of overtime probably?
Oh, yeah.
A ton of
Do
overtime.
another way.
They're
But it gets-
all
but it
pretty
gets
much
hard.
on call 1 week, off call 1 week.
That's why they get burned out. You get burned out. I know I get burned out.
That is. Hope it never comes up.
All right, any more comments? Member comments? Well, I would, but Rudy's gone. That's your limit. Next regular meeting, November 7th, 2023 at 1:30 PM. Let's adjourn this meeting at 2:30 PM. And thank you very much